In this video, I'm going to show the analysis of time series data for the White River at Newport gauge. This gauge is located in the state of Arkansas, and I got this data from the USGS website. And you can see that the data runs all the way from 1927, and I'll scroll down to the end. It goes all the way to 2020, and you can also see that I have almost 34,000 rows of data. So one of the things that you might want to analyze with this type of data set is that you might want to know what the average flow at this gauge is for a particular month, or maybe for all months. And so what I wanted to do is show a few examples of how to compute this in Excel, and also one of the things to look out for when you're doing this type of computation in Excel. So what I'm showing in column C is an if statement that I wrote. And it says if month in cell A2, so that's the date cell. So if that month is equal to 7, then in column C I want to put the value that's in column B, or the flow value. If it's not a month of 7, then I just want to leave it empty. You can see over here that I go through and after I do that for all of the all of column C, I then take the average of column C. I get 15,677. But one thing that I find a little bit odd, this is daily average flow values, by the way. I find I have a minimum of 0, which seems a little bit odd for this site. I have a maximum of 92,600. So if I go down to 1932, you can see why I'm getting zeros. And it's because some of the data is missing. And it appears that if there's missing data, then Excel is actually assigning a 0 to column C. And so what happens is that doesn't affect my sum, but it will affect my count in the average. So I'm not having anything added to the sum, but my count is too high, which is going to give me a lower average than what I should actually be getting. So to solve that issue, I have to alter my if statement a little bit. So I keep the month A2 equals 7 part, but then I put this and out in front. So I wanted to test two conditions. I want to make sure that B2 is not empty. So I do that by saying not B2, so basically not flow equals empty. Because if it is empty, then I don't want it to use a 0, I want it in column D, I want it to then also be empty in column D. So if both of these are true, I want B2, or the flow value, to be put in column D. If both are not true, I want it to be left empty. So when I do that, you can see that my average changes because my sum is still going to be the same, but my count is now going to be correct. You can also see that instead of having a minimum of 0, I now have a minimum of 4,180. So just be aware that if you're going to do this type of computation in Excel, be aware of how it will treat the empty values, and just know that you have to code this appropriately to make sure you're getting the correct average. Now the built-in commands in Excel are just fine for being able to do this type of computation, but if you like to use Visual Basic, I wanted to show this computation in Visual Basic also. So I'm in design mode, and I want to go and I want to view the code. Okay. So to perform this computation for the month of July in Visual Basic, the first thing I do is I have to dimension my variable, and I call this variable month num, and I just dimension it as an integer. And I initialize the sum and the count equal to 0. I start in cell A1, which is just a heading cell. And what I want to do is I'm going to keep checking the dates. Now I don't have any gaps or any missing dates. So that's one thing you will have to check in your data. If you have missing dates, then this code will not work quite right. But I want to say that I want to do this loop until the dates are empty. So basically once it runs out of dates, then it's done, it can get out of the loop. So the first thing I do is, starting from cell A1, I offset it one row and one column. So that way I'm going to be able to pull my first flow value, and I call that cell val. Then what I do is I make my active cell one column over, right? And it's going to be one column to the left because I need to pull my date. And I say that my month num is equal to the month of the active cell. And I say if the month num equals 7, then what I do is I have this running sum, and I will add the flow value to this running sum, and then I will increment the count by 1. And again, this just continues on until I run out of dates and it exits the loop. And then I'm able to perform the very simple computation of the average by doing sum divided by count. And then I'll set that average I'll set that value of the average to cell F1, F11. And here you can see that in cell F11 I have 15,677, which is the same value that I got when I used the if statements in Excel in column C, without the condition of checking to see if the flow values were empty. So it's a good check. It shows me that the code works. It's just not giving me the correct average because I have too many counts or too many values that it's counting. So it's counting empty values instead of just leaving those alone. So to solve that issue, I need to go into my Visual Basic code and make a small change. So all of the code up until this point is going to be the same. The only thing that changes is my if statement. So here I'm still saying if the month num is equal to 7, but now I want to do this isEmpty check. So I say if the cell val, which is the flow value, if that check is showing as false, meaning that it's not empty, then I want to update my running sum, or my running total for the sum of the flows, and I want to increment the count by 1. So it's only if the two conditions are satisfied, that the month is July and the flow is not empty, that this gets done. And then you can see again I update the average, and then I put that average in cell F12. And now you can see when I check the value for cell F12 that it is matching what I got when I used those if statements in column D. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit about analyzing time series data in Excel. Thanks for watching the video, and if you want to get notifications on when I put a new video up, feel free to subscribe to the channel.